Yet another leftist experiment that has completely failed. Who would have guessed? You mean to tell me that if you defund the police or even abolish the police, crime will actually skyrocket? Oh no, say it ain't so. See, this is the problem with the left. They like to think that, oh, socialism hasn't actually been tried yet. Venezuela, Cuba, the Soviet Union, North Korea, they're not true socialist utopias because they failed. But true socialism can succeed. Let us try Chaz, our own socialist utopia, to prove socialism can succeed. And then Chaz lasted 2 weeks. I mean, at least props to North Korea. At least props to Venezuela. At least they've lasted this long, right? At least they're still in power. At least Kim Jong Un and Nicolas Maduro are still in power. I mean, at least the country is still intact, even though it's falling apart. But at least the country has lasted that long under socialism, even though people are eating zoo animals in Venezuela. But Chaz, that's probably a good example of why socialism doesn't work. It lasted 2 weeks, and you bet that when I become a history teacher, when I'm teaching socialism, you bet I'm going to bring up Chaz and how socialism never works. And now we're going to defunding the police. Now, ever since the death of George Floyd, a lot of people have been saying defund the police, abolish the police. Bill de Blasio has actually gotten rid of the anti-crime unit. He's actually taken away funding from the New York City Police Department. And guess what happened? Crime went up. You mean to tell me that when the cops are gone, the criminals start rising up and emerging from the shadows? You don't say. Well, that's what happens with the leftists. Now, the leftists, they live in this little bubble that people are naturally good, that they can do good things, and they don't need cops to get the job done, to protect people. In reality, and as much as you guys don't want to see it, I'm a firm believer that humans are more tempted to do the bad thing. And not actually, I'm gonna rephrase that. That humans are naturally selfish in the sense that they look out for their own interests, and it's a logical thing to do. In society, we have to survive. Obviously, we look for our own interests first. For example, if I was running behind on my mortgage and so was my neighbor, as much as I care about my neighbor, I'm going to prioritize my mortgage first. I'm going to prioritize that I pay my mortgage over my neighbor's. And I'm pretty sure my neighbor's going to be thinking the same. It's selfish, but it's rightfully selfish. Because if I help my neighbor, I don't pay my mortgage, I could end up on the street. And God knows if my neighbor's even going to is even going to help me, recover. I doubt it. But people are naturally selfish. We look out for ourselves first in order to survive. And again, sometimes being selfish actually helps you survive. But when it comes to criminals are the exact same way. They're selfish. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care who they kill. As long as they get what they want, they are perfectly fine. And as crime has skyrocketed in New York City, the most prominent Democrat in the House right now, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and yes, I did say that. You heard me right. Well, she's saying that the reason for this recent crime spike is because people cannot pay their rent and they have to choose between stealing bread to be more specific, or going hungry. Well, that seems like a very prominent argument, except if you look at the pictures that you see on Facebook, a television is not bread. Killing a father who's walking his daughter across the street, yeah, apparently they were hungry and they had to kill that guy because apparently he had bread, which he didn't. But now, as the police are gone, in this sense, the anti-crime unit has been basically removed. Now people are saying bring them back, and I can't help but to say good riddance to the leftists who are saying we need the cops, because these people hate the cops. And again, I'm very critical of the cops in the sense that they know these people hate them. They know they will cut their funding, and yet these cops are still willing to protect the people that are wishing for their jobs to be destroyed, or in some cases to even be killed. That is why when I saw that video of the Seattle protesters on the highway, they were protesting the police. They were protesting police brutality. If you look at the live stream video, they were saying, "F the police, F the police." And what happens when a person runs over them? They say, "Call the cops, call the cops, spare me." And then what infuriated me more was there was actually an officer who came into the scene knowing that these people wanted him gone. They wanted him dead in some cases, but he still decided to protect them. Now, you could say that guy was doing his job, sure. But in my case, I'm not gonna help someone who's wishing for my career to be destroyed. I'm not gonna help someone who wishes harm on me and my family. No, I'm not gonna do that. You need me? Well, I'm sorry. And then this is what I think. You don't need my help? Okay, fine. Let's see how long you last without my help. Well, now let's see what's going on. From Daily Wire, the title reads, Members of Black community call on NYPD to bring back anti-crime unit amid crime surge. We need to reevaluate. Leaders in the Black community in New York City are calling on the New York City Police Department to deal with the recent crime surge in the city by reinstating the plainclothes anti-crime unit that the department recently dismantled as anti-police sentiment exploded in the wake of the death of George Floyd. Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, a former cop, became the second member of the African American community to call on the NYPD to stop the violence by reinstituting the anti-crime unit. Undercover cops whose job was to get guns off the street, CBS New York reported. This as shootings for the week went up 277%, 49 compared to 13 in 2019. The number of victims is up 253%, 60 compared to 17 in 2019. I think that a total elimination is something we need to reevaluate, Adam said. Right now, bad guys are saying if you don't see a blue and white, you can do whatever you want. That's the logic of the criminals. There's no cops. We can do whatever we want. What are you going to do? Call the cops? Well, you got rid of them, buddy. You got rid of them. That's too bad for you. Activist Tony Herbert told the network that he agrees, saying, we have a 1-year-old and the blood is on the hands of the mayor and the state legislature. I don't know if you're aware, but there was this 1-year-old, a boy, who probably like the baby hasn't even gotten a chance to speak yet. Probably they said their first words or that, but to speak, knowingly, right? Just speaking, knowing what they're saying, because usually babies they say words, but in many cases they don't really know what they're saying. It's like they're saying it, but they don't know they're saying it to some degree, right? Well, this 1-year-old baby, who hasn't even spent literally a life as an infant, he's still an infant. The baby didn't even get a chance to go to school. Not even go to school, not even preschool. This kid, I'm 22 years older than this baby boy. And this baby boy is already dead. Before me, for that matter. I said this in another video, and I'm going to say it again. It's more common for the older generations to die off first than the newer ones. Why? Because that's nature. The older people die. As you get older, you basically are coming close to your life is coming to an end as you get older. It's not normal for a younger person to die, especially if it's by the hands of another person. Now, this baby boy, I will say his race, so I can show you the hypocrisy of the Black Lives Matter movement. This baby boy was black. He was shot by other people who were affiliated with Black Lives Matter. Where are they? Why isn't Black Lives Matter talking about this? You want to know why? Because they were the aggressors. They were the ones who killed this baby boy. And Ocasio-Cortez has the nerve to say that all this is going on, all these deaths, all these shootings in New York City are taking place because people don't want to pay the rent. They don't want to get evicted. And they just need some bread. Because I'm pretty sure this baby boy, his death happened because those criminals needed some bread. That's disgusting. But this is what happens when you get rid of cops. People are naturally selfish. Some are rightfully selfish, others are wrongfully selfish. These criminals who shot this baby boy, they were wrongfully selfish. They killed a baby boy for what? I'm just curious, for what was even their motive? That father who literally got shot crossing the street with his daughter, the person who shot him, they were wrongfully selfish. They just shot him. I'm pretty sure killing the father, wouldn't have resulted in some bread in their hands. I'm pretty sure there isn't some genie going around in New York City and say, if you kill people, I will give you some bread. This is the nonsense of AOC. And here's the thing. AOC has actually pissed off a lot of people on her party. Specifically, Andrew Cuomo, Fredo's older brother. Cuomo has actually called out AOC's nonsense and the reasoning behind the crime surge, at least her belief of why the crime surge is happening. And apparently, he says people cannot be evicted right now, so your argument is nonsense. So let's read, shall we? Cuomo shreds AOC's claim that crime surge due to trouble paying rent. You cannot be evicted right now. And it's true, you can't. Cuomo actually passed, and I think it was a law or an executive order, talking about how, people who cannot meet rent cannot be kicked out of their apartments. So AOC, it was a clear lie, to be honest with you, but just clear she's defending the people who are getting shot by these monsters. Let's read, shall we? Democratic New York Mayor Governor Andrew Cuomo. Actually, I don't know why I say mayor. Sorry. Democratic New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, shredded Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, claimed this week that the surge in crime around the city was due to people being scared to pay rent. Ocasio said on Sunday. So why is this up? And this is the tweet, by the way. So why is this uptick in crime happening? Well, let's think about it. Do we think this has to do with the fact there's a record unemployment in the United States right now? The fact that people are at a level of economic desperation that we have not seen since the Great Recession? Maybe this has to do with the fact that people aren't paying the rent and are scared to pay the rent. And so they go out and they need to feed their child and they don't have money, so they maybe have to. They're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night. Yeah, because the people shoplifting bread, they're shoplifting bread that looks like televisions to me. They're shoplifting bread that kind of looks like, clothing and stuff like that. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they do need the bread. A reporter asked Cuomo during a press conference on Monday that he thought about what he thought about Ocasio-Cortez's comment. This is what Cuomo said. I don't know what she said, so I have no comment on what she said, but people have theories, Cuomo began. An incorrect theory doesn't wind up being correct because there is a void. Melissa de la Rosa, secretary to Cuomo, jumped in saying, on the rent issue specifically, though, as I am sure you all remember, the governor did an executive order back in March that said there couldn't be any evictions on commercial or residential rent through June. When they extended that for anyone who has COVID hardship related through the end of August, De Rosa continued. In the interim, the legislature passed legislation that said that you can't be up for any rent evictions during this crisis, which is a bill that was signed, I think, a week and a half ago. And so I am not sure how it could square that it's the people that are not able to pay rent when right now there are no evictions on the table legally. And then Cuomo then added, yeah, it's factually impossible that somebody committed a crime so they could pay their rent. If you can't pay your rent, you cannot be evicted right now. Ocasio-Cortez and the left, they're using the whole you can't pay rent, that's why they're committing crimes as a shield. When in reality, that's completely false. But that's what happens. Now, these people wanted no cops. This is what happens when you get no cops. When my sister says, we need to defund the police in Santa Ana, that's why we're doing this. And then I show her this. She's not going to listen, by the way. She's going to ignore this by all means. She's not going to care. She doesn't look at the facts. She only cares about her facts. And I say facts in quotes. But that's what happens when you defund the police. And there's less money for police. There's less officers. And there's less officers going around patrolling the city and keeping and restaining the order, right? And keeping order in the city. So what happens? No cops or less cops results in more crime. Because criminals think they can't stop all of us, right? And they shoplift. They steal. Not to mention they have a mayor who will order them to stand down because the mayor believes in their movement. Very infuriating to the least. But what do you guys think? Are you guys surprised that the lack of police have resulted in more crimes? I know I'm not. But what do you think of what's going on in New York City? Do you agree with Cuomo in her criticism of AOC? Do you think AOC is simply trying to hide the reason as to why these things are taking place? Do you think do you think Mayor Bill de Blasio has blood on his hands for what's going on in his city? And what do you think of the death that took place in regards to the 1-year-old boy who got tragically killed because of these monsters? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe, share. That helps out a lot. And then after you subscribe, hit the notification button as well. Hit all notifications. That way you never miss an upload. And I'll see you guys next time.